You're listening to The Fully Booked Therapist with Heather Hommel. This is the business coaching show for hands-on therapists who are done under-earning and ready to build a practice that pays them more than enough. Real conversations, real results, your real life. Let's get into it. Welcome back to the Fully Booked Therapist podcast. I'm your host, Heather Hommel. Today, I want to talk to you about something that I think is one of the most underrated parts of building a fully booked practice, and honestly, one of the most underrated parts of building a life that you actually want to be living. And that's standards. Not rules, not checklists, not a performance review where you grade yourself at the end of the year and feel terrible about everything you didn't do. Standards, identity, who you are and who you are becoming as you build this practice. I've been coaching therapists for a long time now, and I've watched a lot of people come into my programs with the same question. It usually sounds something like, what do I need to do to get fully booked? And that is a fair question. It's the reason they joined. But here's what I've learned. The doing is a lot easier when you first decided who you are. The fully booked therapists I've coached, the ones who are actually booked, actually rested, actually making money and not burning out, they don't just do certain things. They are a certain kind of person. They hold themselves to a certain standard, even when it's uncomfortable, even when no one is watching, even when the easier thing would be to let it slide. So today I want to introduce you to the 12 core standards of the fully booked therapist. These standards come directly out of watching my clients build their practices. I didn't just make them up in a vacuum. I've watched them happen. I've watched the therapist who got fully booked, and I paid attention to what they were doing and, more importantly, who they were being. And these 12 standards are what I found. We're going to spend the next few episodes going into each one of these standards. But today I want to lay them all out so you can see the full picture, so you can see how they connect, and so you can start thinking about where you are already living these standards and where there might be some work to do. You don't have to be perfect at all 12 before you start. You just have to be willing to move towards these. That willingness, that's actually the first standard, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So let's get into it. Why standards matter. Before I walk you through all 12, I want to just take a minute on the word standard itself, because I think it can feel a little bit intimidating. Like a standard is something you either meet or you don't. And if you don't, you've already failed. And that is not how I'm using it here. A standard, the way I'm thinking about it, is more like a compass than a report card. It's going to tell you which direction you're pointed. And when you drift, which we all do, it's going to tell you how to find your way back. The therapists in my foundations program, which is the program where we do this work together, they adopt these standards as part of the program, not because I'm telling them who to be, but because these are the behaviors and the ways of showing up that actually produce the result that they want: a fully booked practice, a sustainable income, and a life that doesn't get swallowed by work. Here's what I want you to notice. The standards aren't just all about your business. Some of them are about who you are as a person. Some of them are about who and how you show up to the work. And some are about what that produces in your business. They are layered on purpose because a fully booked practice doesn't just come from tactics alone. It comes from who you are doing those tactics. Okay, let's walk through all 12. The first 4 standards are about identity. This is the foundation. Before we talk about offers or pricing or policies, we have to talk about who you are. So standard 1, a fully booked therapist is honest and vulnerable. Fully booked therapists tell the truth about what is hard. They don't perform confidence that they don't have. They share their wins and their losses with an equal willingness. And they let themselves be seen in the messy middle, in coaching, in their community, in the treatment room. Honesty is the entry point to everything else. And without it, self coaching becomes self deception. Getting coached becomes a performance, and nothing actually changes. Standard two, they are willing to fail. This is a big one. Fully booked therapists don't wait until they feel ready. They don't wait until they feel like an expert to make a move. They make the offer before they feel confident. They set their rate before they fully believe that they are capable of charging it. And they try the thing before they are sure that it will work. This willingness to fail is the permission structure that makes everything else possible. Without it, you're just going to wait forever. The fully booked practice is built by people who are willing to be imperfect and in motion. Standard three, they do the heavy lifting. Fully booked therapists take massive action. They don't wait for motivation or the perfect moment. They understand that coaching, community, and curriculum are the container, but they have to fill the container with real effort. No one is going to build this practice for you. You have to do the work. Standard four, they respond. They do not react. When something goes wrong, and something always goes wrong, fully booked therapists pause. They evaluate. They get curious. They don't catastrophize a slow week or spiral over a cancellation. They treat their business like a CEO treats a problem. They use data, not drama, to help inform their next decision. This one is all about building what I call a boring, non reactive practice. And boring is genuinely the goal. A business that is calm and predictable and sustainable. That's what we are actually building here. Let's talk about how the fully booked therapist shows up in the work. The next four standards are about how fully booked therapists show up in coaching, in the treatment room, and in the daily practice of running a business. Standard five, they self-coach and evaluate on purpose. Between sessions, between coaching calls, fully booked therapists are managing their minds. They are noticing their thoughts. They don't spiral. They don't outsource their thinking to the group before doing the work of processing it themselves first. And they evaluate their business on purpose, tracking what is working, identifying what isn't, and solving problems with intention rather than reaction. They are their own first coach. Standard six, they show up to get coached. This one is about commitment. Fully booked therapists prioritize live coaching calls. They rearrange things to be there. And when they can't attend live, they watch the replay and they really watch it, looking for growth and forward movement, not just information. So they are listening in to figure out how the coaching applies to them in this exact moment, in this exact place where they're at in their business. You don't have to have it all figured out before you come to a coaching call. You can bring the messy stuff, the unprocessed stuff, the thing you don't even have a question for yet. That is exactly what coaching is for. The coaching call is the place to process, the place to be witnessed, the place to figure it out with someone else who is not in the middle of what you're going through, asking you the questions. Fully booked therapists trust the container enough to bring what is real. Standard seven, they are always learning, but never as a buffer. Therapists, and I say this with so much love, are good at learning as a substitute for doing. We are curious, educated, thoughtful people, and there is always another book, another podcast, another course, another thing to consume, another seminar that feels relevant. Fully booked therapists know the difference between learning that moves them forward and learning that keeps them safely busy. Before they consume content, they can name the problem they are trying to solve. They apply what they learned before seeking more. They are not always in research mode. At some point, they are taking massive action. Standard eight, they know their client and they believe that they can help them. Fully booked therapists understand their client's problems as well as or better than the client does. They touch the client's symptoms. They have a plan and they say it out loud. I can help you. They listen fully. They don't bring their own agenda into the room, and they understand that the client is not responsible for the therapist's self-esteem. That is a big one. When a client doesn't rebook, it is not a verdict on your own worth. Fully booked therapists know this. Let's talk about what a fully booked therapist produces in their business. The last four standards are about what all of this actually helps to produce. This is the business layer, the stuff that makes your practice work. Standard 9. Fully booked therapists have clearly defined and enforceable policies. Fully booked therapists know their policies and they hold them. Cancellation, rescheduling, payment, communication, all of it is defined, communicated, and followed consistently. A practice without enforceable policies is a practice that runs on anxiety. Every cancellation becomes a negotiation. Every exception becomes a precedent. Fully booked therapists are not rigid, but they are consistent. Their policies protect their time, their income, and their energy. And honestly, consistent policies create safety for the client too. People want to know what to expect, and they want to know how to show up, how to behave, what the rules are. Standard 10. They operate from one clear solution at one clear price point. One primary offer, one clear rate, one discounted package option. They are not building a menu. They are not hedging. They know what they offer, what it costs, and why the result is worth it. And their rate is set by facts and data, not by feelings or industry standards, in quotation marks. Clarity is confidence. A therapist with one clear offer at one clear price point is easier for clients to say yes to. And it's easier for you to sell because there's nothing to figure out in the moment. The offer exists, the price exists, you believe in both. There's really nothing to negotiate. Standard 11. Fully booked therapists know their numbers and their money. They touch their facts to inform decisions. Fully booked therapists are not afraid of their finances. They know what is coming in, what is going out, and what they need, and most importantly, what they want. They track their rebook rate, their cancellation rate, their average session counts. And when something feels off, they look at the actual data before drawing crazy conclusions. I talk a lot about touching your facts. What I mean by that is before you make a decision based on fear or a different feeling, look at what is actually true. The numbers will tell you. And when you are in relationship with your numbers, growth becomes intentional rather than accidental. Standard 12. Fully booked therapists prioritize their life so they can show up fully in the treatment room. This is the last standard, and it might be the most important one. Fully booked therapists rest. They take planned time off. They get body work and therapy for themselves. They do not wear overwork as a badge of honor. A depleted therapist cannot sustain a fully booked practice. You will burn out. You will resent your clients. You will stop making offers, or you won't make as many as you would have if you weren't burning out. The fully booked therapist is sustainable by design. They have built a life that supports the work, not a work that consumes their life. So, this is all 12. Let me read them to you one more time quickly so you can hear them together. The fully booked therapist. 1, they are honest and valuable. 2, they are willing to fail. 3, they do the heavy lifting. 4, they respond, they do not react. This is how they show up at work. 5, they self-coach and evaluate on purpose. 6, they show up to get coached. 7, they are always learning, but never as a buffer. 8, they know their client and they believe they can help them. 9, they have clearly defined and enforceable policies. 10, they operate from one clear solution at one clear price. 11, they know their numbers and their money. They touch their facts to inform decisions. 12, they prioritize their life so they can show up fully. I want you to sit with these. You don't have to do anything with these right now. Just notice which ones feel like you, which ones feel like a stretch, Which one made you a little uncomfortable when you heard it? This discomfort is information. It's not a verdict. It's just a pointer towards where the work is. Over the next few episodes, we're going to go deep on each one of these. We're going to talk about what it looks like in practice, why it matters, and what gets in the way. Because knowing the standards is one thing, becoming them is a different thing. That's what we do inside Foundations, and it's the work we're going to do together on this podcast as well. If you're ready to go deeper and want to do this work inside a container with real coaching and real community, come find me at heatherhammel.com. That's Heather Hammel, HAMMELL.com. I would love to work with you. Okay, that's it for today. I'll see you in the next episode where we're going to go deep on standard 1, being honest and vulnerable. Trust me, it'll be a good one. Thanks for watching and listening to The Fully Booked Therapist, where we have real conversations, get real results, and live your real life. We'll see you next week. Thanks for spending this time with me today. If you're a hands-on therapist who is ready to get fully booked and build a practice that actually pays you, I want to help you do that. Head over to heatherhammel.com to find out how we can work together. And if you loved this episode, please share it with someone who needs it. See you next week.